Alright, gonna do a quick unboxing here. Obviously, this is a Ryzen system. Went with the Ryzen 1300x and Trident G-Skill DDR4 3200 megahertz RGB memory, the Asus Strix B350, and also went with the Photon 550. Don't really need a lot of power for this system. It's going to have a 1050 from EVGA. This is just for my wife's personal computer, so it doesn't do a ton. She does a little bit of gaming, a lot of school, things like that. Just the old system was just not performing up to anybody's liking, it seems. So we're gonna give this a shot, see how it works out. The boxes, going through what comes with them real quick. I am going to be using the this is actually my old case, still a wonderful case. It's the Cosmos SE. I guess first I will open the Ryzen box. Alright, so here we go. I am going to use a razor blade, just be careful. I got this because it came with the Wraith cooler, and I thought that, you know, really, at this point, you're not going to be able to beat the low price and performance of Ryzen on the lower end Intel stuff. Plus, the coolers that come with the Intels are absolutely horrible. I can't even believe that Intel packages that horseshit. Pardon my French, there's going to be a little swearing in this video. You're just going to have to get over it. So this right here is the stock Wraith cooler that comes with it. I will be taking off this thermal paste. I don't know who makes this. I don't know where it comes from. It may be adequate for some, and that's fine. I just personally don't ever do that. So this is the chip, 1300X. We are going to be overclocking this, the memory. Hopefully the memory is going to work out well. I know there's been some issues with Ryzen and memory, especially the G-Skill Trident. Now, as far as I know, this is not the Ryzen recommended memory. The nicer kit, I didn't want some cheapy cheese dick looking memory in the system, especially with the Strix board, which is RGB. I just figured this would look nicer, give it much more of an appeal. Alright, let's take a peek at this chip. This will be the first Ryzen chip I've looked at. And there it is, pins. And you can see the marker. It tells you how it goes in on the motherboard right there. It's a little gold triangle in the corner. Although it's not an LGA setup, and I'm not exactly sure why they went with the normal pins as opposed to the LAN groove array like Intel's had for years, and now they do offer it on the Threadrippers. Okay, let's take a look at this memory. Now this is a 16 gig kit. 8 gigs just didn't seem to work out well for my wife. She's going to school for database programming, and although the stuff itself is not taxing, compiling can be a bit, but when you have a bunch of windows open, especially when you're working on projects and school papers and all that, it's always nice to have the extra memory. These are 2400. Intel XMP ready. 2400C15D. Yep, 15. So CAS latency of 15 on these. Very nice looking memory though. I will give G-Skill. I've actually used their memory in the past on a lot of my personal builds. Great memory, great company. G-Skill happened to be kind of the go-to memory that I used to use. Now it seems to be Corsair. Easiest platform, cash grab, so. But again, another excellent company for memory and products. Corsair definitely stands behind their stuff. Okay. Looks like an actually very nice board. You know, for being just a B350, it's definitely got a decent weight to it. PCB feels fairly fairly thick and heavy duty. Of course, I'm sure some of these add a lot of weight, but definitely everything looks good. Has ports on the board, on the I/O panel for onboard graphics. New APUs are going to be running the same AM4 Plus platform. Looks like it's got one spot for an M.2. Looks to be like we have 3 or at least 2 PCIe 3.0s. I'm not sure if this one is. I'll have to look in the manual. That might be a 2.0 slot. I noticed these are the ones with the special, reinforced PCIe slots. Single LAN, 4 USB 3.0s and 2 USB 2.0s, and looks like 2 USB 3.1. I think I paid $100 for this board after the rebate. Got USB 3. She'll be stoked about that. 6 SATA ports, 24 pin, decent looking VRM setup. Ryzen build. I'm sure it's not gonna affect the VRM very much in terms of overworking or high temperatures, especially with just a 1300X. Not bad. Definitely a nice looking board. Oh, it is an 8-pin power in, so remember that. It's not a 4-pin. And of course it comes with all the crap motherboards usually come in. Nice input output IO, regular SATA cable, disc, M.2 screws, and mount, direct stickers, user manual, some ties if you need them, and a coaster for your beer. RGB. Spell it wrong, they spelled it BRG, but we can give them a break on that. RGB controller. If you wanted to add something else to your board. Feels nice and heavy for a 550. It's 80 plus gold, 5-year warranty, fully modular for $59. Actually, it's $39 with the rebate, but for the price, I wanted to keep this build as clean as possible. Rosewell's little manual. They always usually come with one of these. Got one with my Lightning system when I got it. There is the 24-pin power cable. And good stuff. More zip ties. This is not ever going to be used. PCIe power cable. And SATA power. 8-pin CPU power. Another SATA power. Another SATA power. Okay, this one will work too with a 4-pin if you, just to be specific, you'll have both of those. Weird, only one PCIe, but I guess it's probably because it's 550 watt. They don't plan on people SLIing on a 550 watt. I wouldn't recommend it either. And as I said, 4-pin Molex, one on each of these SATAs. Okay, here's the unit. It's got a little weight to it, 550 watt. Looks nice. Specified the PCIe one, so you know exactly which one it is. Very easy. Plain, but it's going to do the job. Now this, as far as I can see, does not have any kind of lit up LED fan or anything. Not bad. $39. Okay, good to see what you're getting, especially for your money. Let's get this board going. These would be the fans I'm using. The wife wanted pink. Her last case was pink, and it was made by the same company, but the case was cheesy as shit. And the reason why I got them is because they were pink, and not a lot of people make straight pink fans. And the way that they made these fan blades, if you can see, seem to help stream all of those LEDs in there, and it gives it a really neat looking effect. It should look quite nice. Plus it does have these nice thick rubber dampers on it which stop vibration. 3-pin plug for either the motherboard or other types of connections, whether you're using a fan controller or what whatnot, and then it's got these. I'm probably gonna cut these off because I don't want this shit hanging all over the place. So anyways, let's get to putting the CPU on. I'm gonna get some alcohol and clean off the Wraith cooler and put OC Cool. I'll be showing you that in a minute. Be right back. Alright, here we go. Regular 91% isopropyl alcohol. I believe anything over 70 is just fine. Just gonna use this in a paper towel. Make sure you load it on there fairly decent. It's gonna absorb a lot, but it'll help while removing it. Try not to make any big sweeps with it. I usually twist it until I get it to start loosen up, and don't keep moving it around, because what you'll end up doing is get it in the fins, and then it's a real pain in the ass to clean. Okay, so good to go. We got OC Cool, Alpha Cool, the cooling company, XB1. Okay, so as you can see, there's a gold triangle on the socket itself. Is a mark at the top left. I don't know if you can see that. Right there is another little triangle. It's very hard to see with this camera, but you'll see it. It's very small. And that is where we're gonna put our triangle. Make sure that you have this lever up, or else that is gonna cause an issue. Now the triangle is an indent, so, and this should not fit in any other way. And you should also see the side, the little marks on the socket itself, pins, processor. You will see that they have to line up. Now she should be nice and tight, and that's what she said. Okay, so now that we got our CPU in place, looks to be we have to take these off. I believe these are for a different type of cooler. They are not for the Wraith cooler. The Wraith cooler is actually going to go in what the screws are in here. So let me grab a screwdriver. Magnetic tip, regular Phillips head screwdriver, basic size. Although I don't know if it works anymore. I haven't seen it really pick up a screw too well in the last couple of years. It's probably worn out. Time for a new set of screwdrivers. Okay, so there's one. You may want to save those and the screws. Not totally sure on what you plan on doing, but if you ever change coolers, you may actually need those to mount it. Most coolers are going to come with extra mounts for different types of boards, but now this is not square, this is triangle, kind of like the TR4 socket, so this can only go one of two ways. This top one is the CPU, main CPU plug-in for the fan, and like this is not going to reach. So if I go this way, I usually put a little more than what a normal person would, and that's just because why not? So I try to start out from a corner stop at that corner. The adjacent one. Do the same thing as across. And just a little tiny one through the middle. Doesn't have to be thick. I don't use the full thickness of what one of these will spread. But I like to have a nice even thermal paste application. Like I said, it's not going to hurt anything. Most of these are non-conductive, and you can always check that at manufacturers' websites and whatnot, or if you just know yours is. There's no point in not putting enough to get a proper cover on the entire CPU itself, because that's just a heat spreader. So this isn't like rocket science and how it spreads heat. It could have hotter spots in some areas than it would in others. Okay, good thing to do is hold it when you screw it down. Be very careful with your screwdriver. Don't drop it on the damn board. Just get enough to get the first thread set in, and that way you can go around after and tighten them down. Plus it's going to offset how it meets the board. Fall off. It's not going to vibrate like a jackhammer is sitting next to the thing 24 hours a day. Okay, so what I'm going to do is feed this around to through the VRM heat sinks. See, now that's nice and hidden, and it doesn't have a lot of pressure or anything on it, so it'll be just fine. There is a plastic film on here. Don't forget. Yeah, don't remember. Make sure you don't remember anything, but don't forget to take that off, or else you're gonna have a really shitty look after about 3 weeks. Okay. Next thing to do is you're gonna want to consult your manual on how the memory goes in, what kits go where, and you should have researched beforehand. So with this board, you got your A1 slot and your B1 slot. These are the two slots for a 2-stick set. Okay, so we are back in business. Board's in, PSU is in. I did run another LED strip for the wife. She really likes the pink purpley look on the computer, so should be good to go there. I have an SSD for this system. I am going to mount in a hide spot. This case actually had a couple, I think. I believe this was one of them. I'm going to install the fans. 2 on the top, 2 in the front, 1 in the back. As I said, I'll be using these Apivia pink LED. I don't know if they have a special name or not, but they look alright. I mean, it's a chick's computer, you know. Gotta make sure that the looks are just as good as the performance when it comes to women. Of course, I guess then most of us guys are women. Make sure that when you mount your fans, make sure you have the cables positioned the way you want. Don't tighten them down. You know, make sure that you have the proper space to tighten your fans, and that you're using the correct spaces within the computer to put your fans. This has a slider. So they're just long slits that the screws go through, allowing you to move your fan back and forth from front to back, so that you can properly fit them and or position them exactly the way you want. In order to you know, an aesthetic reason, for aesthetic reasons, I've used them. But there's nothing wrong with the ones that come with the boards. They're absolutely amazing. Especially when you're talking Asus. Asus and MSI seem to have some really nice stuff. Alright, so we get these fans tightened in here, and then we'll put the front fans on. Actually, believe it or not, this case doesn't look it, but it's actually fairly quiet. Even with my huge liquid cooler mounted on the side of it, it really didn't make a lot of noise. And since the board is RGB and the memory is RGB, those will be able to be pink too. So it should look quite decent. Hopefully she'll be happy with it. I guess I'll be making another video of another build. Or at least this same build inside a different case. So glad she didn't order one of the other PVA cases like she wanted to. These fucking things are made in, I don't even know where they're made. On the opposite side of a Nike sweatshop maybe. These are made by Phobia. I got them from Mod My Mods, where I get all my liquid cooling parts from. Excellent people over there, great products. But these are what we're in need of for these fan installations on the front. Makes life a lot easier, neater, cleaner. It's good to just kind of give it a little hand tight in there. Do not tighten them much because you don't want the fan to get tightened yet. Especially while installing these types of screws, you don't have a lot of play with this out, like in here. Nothing protruding. Now these will only screw in so far, so you can actually tighten them up a bit. You don't want them coming loose at all. Perfect. Okay, and then these screw holes, I believe, are... Sometimes things will loosen on one side, not necessarily on the other. Okay. All right, fans are installed. All right, so we got the SSD mounted there. Got most of everything just about set here. I'll start getting the power cables and the cables I'm gonna need. Here. The fans plugged in and all that happy horse shit. Okay. USB. Look fairly good. Okay. Now, let's get some front panel shit going. HD audio. Okay, this is the one that is in the middle. Which is this one right here. Okay. Stick this right down in there. Fucking mess they made of this cable. I'd love to just chop that right the fuck off too, but I can't. Let's take this one. Just working on some cable management here, getting the fan set up. Two front fans. Going onto the fan controller. Okay. Okay. Alright, we only have one fucking fan left to get plugged in. That's gonna get plugged in by the actual, this case had a, has like two fans on it. It's the fucking stupidest thing I've ever seen. I don't know why it did. Actually, you know what? No. I'm gonna plug one fan into the motherboard. Call it a day. Not even use that thing. Let's see, where would we like this one? AIO? Nope. Is that a chassis fan? Nope. Alright, you know what? That's gonna go down the bottom. There's tons of them at the bottom. Let's see what the best way around this is so it doesn't look like shit. Because I don't like it when things look like shit. There's some right here. If it wants to fucking... I hate Molex fucking plugs. Whoever the asshole was that kept these fucking things in business should be fucking shot. There's not one reason to have a fucking Molex pin on anything anymore. I mean, you know, unless you're working on 25-year-old fucking rigs. Always make sure that your pins are nice and tight on some of these. They are not the greatest when it comes to shit, is that gonna fit up there? Oh, I guess I got way more out there than I need. Oh, fuck yeah. Over here. Excellent. Alright. So now, I can just take one more of these. And brace it with this wonderful little 24-pin ATX cable. If this is long enough, and it's not. By getting that the fuck out of there. Okay. That's much better. We'll do that. Alright. So here we go, putting the last item in. Just a DVD drive. My wife likes to have one. Who am I to say not to, right? Okay. Usually on the drives I do use a one that has a flat head, angled head, sorry. But okay, yep, that's right. That's out before. Nice thing about this case is when you're taking things apart, it's really fucking easy. Pop it out. Fucking slide it in, bitch. I wish that some of these companies left a little more room for getting your SATA plugs in, but is what it is. 5, 6, 94. I know that it was, I believe it was less than 100 megahertz. The speed on the CPU. It's like 16 megs of RAM or some shit like that. You fuckers whine about what you don't. Oh, nah, whatever. Get out of the way. All right, we have liftoff. Just for any of you with Ryzen, if you go past the post, well, if you get to the post and you don't go into the BIOS and set the CMOS, what's going to happen is when you try to start it back up again, most likely you're going to get a code or no screen or whatever. you can remove the battery, remove a stick of RAM, and then you have to hit the jumper with something. Give it like 15, 20 seconds. You could even use a fucking penny, anything that'll create a circuit. You have to have it all powered down too. Power supply off and powered down. So then you can put the battery back in, turn it back on, blah, 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 get you back into the CMOS. Or into the, where you'll see the post and be able to go into the BIOS. So... Tab. Nope. Alt. Oh, that's just a bit. Alright. At this point, I've taken out a stick of RAM, so I have to put it back in after, but I just want to make sure that everything posts okay. And that everything looks good. Let's see, memory frequency. And CPU core ratio. Manual. I fucking hate AMD. Core frequency divider. Okay. Okay, SATA. Don't know why this would be. That's better. For some reason, you have to enable the hot plug for it to see the other boot drive. Let's see what the fuck happens. There she is, by the way. Not too shabby. Silent as fuck too. I can't even hear the